This fund pays a yield north of 80%. It also scored a 15.9 out of 100 on the safety system I built. The lowest of any fund I tested. Some people watching this own it right now. I ran 14 of the most popular high yield ETFs through that system. SPYI, QQQI, JEPI, the YieldMax funds, all of them. The results sort these funds into two very different groups. Let me show you which is which. Here's the problem with picking a high yield ETF. The yield number tells you almost nothing. A fund can advertise a massive distribution and still be quietly handing you back your own money. Or bleeding its share price to fund the payout. So I built a safety score, 0 to 100. One question, how likely is this fund to keep paying its current distribution over the next 1 to 2 years? Not is it a good fund, just is the income real and is it sustainable? 5 components, real market data, 2-year window. Here's how it reads. Every fund gets scored on 5 things. Total return capture. Did the fund keep pace with its index or did it sacrifice more upside than it earned back in premiums? NAV stability. Did the share price hold up? Distribution consistency. Are the payments steady or all over the place? Track record. How long has it survived, including through real crashes? And strategy risk. Broad index fund or single stock bet. 2 of these have penalty layers underneath. If a fund posts a great return only because it's returning capital, destroying its own NAV, the math catches it and claws the score back. A return generated by shredding your principal is not a return. Let's start at the top. SPYI, 87.9, the highest score of all 14. And here's what I respect about this result. It's honest. NAV up almost 8% while it did its job. Distributions almost perfectly flat, a coefficient of variation of 0.03, basically a straight line, nearly 4 years of history. But look at total return capture, 18 out of 25. SPYI only captured 80% of what the S&P 500 itself returned. Even the safest fund on this list gave up a fifth of the market's return. That's not a flaw, that's a trait. You're buying steady income and paying for it in upside. The score rewards SPYI for being honest about that trade. Now here's the fund that proves the score is doing something real. QYLD. Look at this card. By every measure of is the income reliable, it looks pristine. Distribution consistency, a perfect 15 out of 15. Track record, a perfect 20 out of 20. Over 12 years. Survived COVID, survived 2022. NAV stability, full marks. If you were just chasing a stable paycheck, you'd think QYLD was untouchable. But it scored 67. Healthy, not strong. Why? Total return capture 9 out of 25. Over the last 2 years, QYLD captured 46% of what a Nasdaq returned. The income is rock solid, but the fund is leaving more than half the market's return on the table. The check clears every month. It's just a much smaller check than it could be. The score sees that. A yield chaser never would. 0 DTE income funds, weekly payouts, daily expiry options. The strategy your financial advisor would describe as a choice. Affectionately, peak degen. The fund here is XDTE and it scored 47.8. Cautious. The first one on the list in real warning territory. 2 things drag it down. Strategy risk, tier 5, the most aggressive category there is. And distribution consistency. Look at that coefficient of variation, 1.14. SPYI's was 0.03. XDTE's payouts swing more than the average payout itself. That weekly check you're counting on, you cannot build a budget around it. You could build a casino night around it. And then the bottom of the list, MSTY, the MicroStrategy Income Fund, scored 24.9, concerning. Its NAV is down 78%. Its distributions are collapsing. Down nearly 4% every single period. Total return capture, 0 out of 25. And dead last, ULTY. 15.9, distressed. Total return capture, 0. NAV stability, 0. A clean sweep of zeros. The fund equivalent of a participation trophy. Its share price is down 50%. Remember the 80% yield from the intro? This is it. Turns out 80% of something shrinking very fast is a lot less exciting than it sounds. These aren't broken funds in the sense of a glitch. They're doing exactly what their strategy does. And the strategy destroys capital. The score just refuses to let the headline yield hide it. So here's what 14 funds actually told me. Most covered call ETFs aren't scams. The broad index funds, SPYI, the Goldman funds, JEPQ, QQQI, they're doing their job. Steady income, intact principal. The danger isn't high yield ETFs. The danger is concentrated in one specific corner. Single stock funds and the most exotic weekly option products. That's where the capital actually gets destroyed. Every score in this video comes from a tool I'm building called FrostDeck. It runs this safety score in any dividend stock or income ETF, breaks down all 5 components and shows you the math. So you're never trusting a headline yield again. It's in early access right now, links in the description. If this was useful, subscribe. I'm doing one of these breakdowns regularly. And tell me in the comments, what's the highest yield fund you own? And do you actually know what its NAV has done? Be honest. No judgment. Okay, some judgment. I'll see you in the next one.